Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nelson Downriver Race on the Tye River in Nelson County, Virginia, 2023. Here we are getting some safety instruction and some last-minute tips at the starting line before the race. Here I am getting into my boat. I got in a little ahead of everybody else this year just to warm up a little bit and stay out of the fray. And I hate getting under the water last and having to just rush. Here's the start of the race. It was a very, very low water day. This is the very first set of rapids, and you'll see me here soon get stuck on a rock that I didn't really see. And I got spun around in like the very first set of rapids here.
Nope.
Yeah, so there's some foreshadowing. I said this is going to suck because I knew we were going to hit a lot of rocks, if not all the rocks. I got spun around, and the entire race passed me right at the start. And anybody who races kayaks knows this is just a miserable feeling. But I just tried to get myself unstuck. I was in my Cobra Viper kayak. This is a 17-foot long kayak. It's a really fast design, but any 17-foot kayak in plastic is really, really heavy. And heavy plastic kayaks like to stick on every rock they encounter. So here I am catching back up and passing the people who got ahead of me. I'm already breathing heavy because you expend a lot of energy just getting off rocks, and that can't be understated. When you get stuck on a rock, it takes a lot of energy to get unstuck, and that's energy you would rather be putting into your paddling and your racing. Granted, I'm an old man and I'm probably breathing heavier than I should have been, but it is what it is. This tandem canoe was, I think that was probably my favorite paddlers of the day. It was a father-daughter team, and I just love when people get the next generation on the water, and I admire any man who can get a son or daughter on a river in a race. Hats off to you. Great job. So here I'm finally in some flat water trying to find my stroke. This is the way I would like to be the entire race. But I had a feeling I was going to be stuck to a lot more rocks today. Alright, so there's paddling friend Shelly right ahead of me there. And I'm warning you right now, guys, this is going to be a long video. So these were number 1 and 2 in the race. I caught up to them and passed them pretty quickly. It wasn't too bad.
Suck.
So we had all encountered rocks already, and we were very early in the race, so we knew what we were in for. It was going to be a lot of contact with rocks. So the main competition for me in this race is a guy named Tom Ike, and you don't see him on the river. There I am getting stuck on yet another rock. Again, burning more energy to get unstuck. It's just brutal conditions.
I really want to quit?
It was really almost... There I am already thinking about giving up. Because I just knew what we were in for. The water was so low, we just knew we were going to get hung on a lot of rocks. But anyways, my main competitor on the river was Tom Ike. He runs the race early in the morning, and he looks for safety hazards, and he self-times himself. So I was racing against him, even though he ran this race hours earlier. So I couldn't really compare myself to where he was. I knew I was out in front at this point, but in my mind, I'm still racing against a ghost who I knew did it in like an hour 20 something. I didn't know what. And with every rock I hit and got stuck on, I was thinking, I'm done. There's no way I'm going to be competitive today. But then I had to remind myself, all right, everybody was paddling plastic. Most likely everybody was hitting much of the same rocks. I just had to take that as, part of the race that day. And my game plan then was just get unstuck as quickly as possible, get into the flats, get into the deep water, and then just give it my best strokes, my best paddling on the flats, because that's where my strength is. And so that's what I try to do. I just tried to survive contact with rocks and shallow water. And when I got into slow deep water, flat deep water, just paddle as best I could with as much speed. Here's a good example right here. I'm just trying to go as fast as I possibly can until the next set of low rapids. So I'll just let you enjoy the scenery here for a little while. And it's a beautiful gorge on the Tye River. Here I am stuck yet again, and it was just again brutal. There were times where even when you're in deep water, you're throwing down your best wing stroke, but there were times you throw your blade in the water and it would hit a rock like an inch or two below the surface of the water, and you didn't see it, and it's jarring. You hit a rock and your paddle blade just shoots straight back at you. It takes a great toll on your elbows. It wants to throw you off balance and tip you over going the other way. So these were like probably some of the worst conditions I've ever paddled in terms of low water, but I'll just sit back and enjoy the sights here. This is one of my favorite rivers in the state of Virginia because it's so scenic. You're actually relatively close to some populated, not highly populated, but civilization, but you feel like you're in a remote mountain stream, and there's enough rapids the entire way to keep it extremely interesting and not too many flats. But on this day I was just hoping for the flats because that was the only chance I had to make up some time. Here I'm settling into a pretty good wing stroke paddle. I'm out in front, feeling a little bit better, but still wondering what I'm in for today. And every time we saw some rapids coming up, you just feared, oh gosh, I'm going to scrape and hit more rocks and get stuck. It really is a beautiful river, and most of the rapids are just extremely fun. There's usually one good line through them and a couple lines that are a little bit dodgy. This one I just happened to hit right. I read it right and I got through it. It's those little things when you make a right decision, it makes you feel good and it encourages you. Here I hit a flat and I'm just giving it everything I have, thinking, all right, this is where I make up for being all the times I'm stuck on the rocks. This is where I make up seconds. And on this river, under any condition, nobody really wants to run a composite boat. I did this race years ago in my Phoenix Match 2. And during the big rapid, the rock pile rapid, I actually hit a rock and punched a hole in my boat and was borderline sinking the rest of the way. Thank goodness I had a bilge pump with me that day, so I would paddle for a while, the boat would fill up with water, I'd pump it out, and then I'd paddle and just repeat it till I got to the finish line. So the only sensible choice for this race is plastic. And again, fast plastic, a long skinny boat is going to be heavy, and you know, it was just a tough race. There's no perfect boat for this particular race under low water conditions. And I'm just going to let you enjoy the paddling here for a long while. It's a beautiful river. Anybody can do this river. Like anybody with some basic skills can handle this river under most conditions, unless it's way up near flood conditions. I would encourage everybody to come out to this next year, and in future years, it's usually the first Saturday in May every year. This was an exception. They ran into a schedule conflict, so it was the second Saturday in May. I will mention there on my left wrist, I'm wearing the Amazfit GTR smartwatch. Amazfit does not sponsor me, but if you watch videos on this channel, on my YouTube channel, you know I'm sort of a smartwatch aficionado, and I've been looking for a smartwatch who does kayaking and counts kayak miles and strokes as kayak strokes, and has GPS turned on. And this is my favorite one so far. This was an interesting set of rapids. Again, every time you hit the flats, you turn a corner and there's another set of rapids that you hear. And it just keeps this river really, really fun, and it makes this race really, really interesting. My paddle here is a carbon fiber wing paddle. It's something called CC Sport, CISI. It was like a cheap knockoff Epic mid-wing, small mid-wing from Amazon.com. But my goodness, this has become my favorite wing paddle for a little bit more than $200. It's probably the best piece of kayaking equipment I ever invested in. It's got the right blade surface area, and for me, it's a perfect weight. I don't care about 6 or 8 ounces, heaviness or lightness, but for the shape of the design and the quality, for the price point, this paddle is perfect for me. I managed to hit that line just right. There was no other option. That was the best line, and I managed to hit it. For those of you who might not paddle in whitewater or rapids, the way to read a river in general is look for an upside down V, and when you're going into the top of the V, that's where the swiftest, most volume of water is going. If you can start at the middle top of the V and head right to the center at the bottom of the V, that's almost always your best line. So again, this is going to be a long video, but bear with me. I like to share these full-length videos with people so they can see the entire race route for future years. So a lot of people get anxious about entering a new race because they've never paddled the river. But here you can see firsthand every bit of this river and this race on a low water day. This is the first bridge. Just below this is the first major rapid, which is the Rock Pile Rapid. That's where most people, if they're going to get into trouble, that's where it's going to happen. There was one line here today on the left, but there was a big log jam on that left bridge pillar, so you didn't want to get too close to that. This was a little bit tricky here, actually, because the river wanted to throw you into that log pile. So I made it through that. Connie Russos is a volunteer, and he's sitting right below Rock Pile Rapid here taking pictures, and you'll see some pictures at the end of this video. I've got a love-hate relationship with this particular set of rapids because it's, like I said, it's punched a hole in one of my boats. I flipped over one race. I usually hit a good line, but you never know, and I was just hoping for the best. Here I go. Got a little stuck here, but I got unstuck pretty quickly. Again, the water was so low, I just figured everybody's going to drag here. So we all had the same disadvantage. I don't know if you can see Connie off to the left here in a canoe with a camera. I don't think so, but he took pictures of everybody there. Connie Russos, thank you so much. You've been such a great volunteer at this race over, I think it's close to 15 years now. You're just a dedicated devotee to the sport and this race. Thank you so much. Stuck yet again. Aye. So here's another deep flat where I'm just trying to give it everything I have to make up some time. So I've been doing kayaking videos for, I don't know, at least 10 years on this channel. Early on, I just thought I'd post a few of my kayaking adventures so I could watch them later. And then other people have kind of watched them. They scout rivers based on my videos, and they actually learn about new races based on my videos. And, you know, I've got a little bit of a cult following amongst the kayaking community, and I just want to say thank you to everybody who watches these videos. It's opened some doors for me. It's made me become a smartwatch reviewer because some of the smartwatch companies have watched these videos and seen when I talk about a smartwatch and you know, GPS watches, they reach out to me and say, hey, would you review ours? And they send them to me. But most importantly, it led to my acquisition of Westside Boat Shop kayaks. They are my favorite kayaks in the world. The company was founded by a man by the name of Doug Bushnell, who designed the best, fastest racing kayak and fitness kayak designs in the world. Hand-built each and every one of them. And then a few years ago, I had the opportunity to purchase his company from him after he retired. And it just worked out that I was able to buy all of his designs, all of his trade names, all of his molds, and carry on the tradition of Westside Boat Shop kayaks. And I'm excited to keep that tradition going. If you are interested in the fastest racing and fitness paddling decked kayak designs in the world, let me know. Contact me. Let's talk about what will work for you. Here's an interesting set of rapids where you really had to pick and choose your way. Again, I just happened to pick the right one. There's Dave Peralt pointing the way through this set of rapids. This is an undercut rock, and he sits there and just points the way to the right way through this rapid. He's another steadfast volunteer. He sits on that rock every year to make sure nobody gets in trouble. These people who pull off this race are amazing. I can't say enough about these volunteers and this particular race. They've just really created something really special here. Again, giving it everything I have on the flats. Of course, you're watching this from the perspective of my body cam. And I'll just let you enjoy this. Scout it, check it out, enjoy the scenery, listen to some cheesy background music that I got for free. Boom, stuck. Yet another rock. There, I'm trying to just like shimmy my way off the rock. I mean, it was brutal. Getting stuck on so many rocks and using so much energy to get unstuck. I don't know how to describe it. It just takes some of the excitement and life out of you. And you just want to give up because you want to be paddling and going fast all the time. And when you hit a rock and it just takes all your momentum away, it completely stops you and you have to like work hard to get back up to speed. It's just mentally and physically draining. For anybody who's into like fitness paddling or they're into fast kayak paddling, I'll just give you a few tips here. The longer and skinnier any given boat design is in general, it's going to be a faster boat. But there's always a trade-off between that speed versus stability. So you might have a really long, skinny kayak, but if you can't keep it upright, and you're not comfortable and you always feel like you're going to tip over, you're not going to be fast in it. So you need to find a boat that's right for you, that's long enough and skinny enough, yet stable enough for your abilities to allow you to paddle really hard without the fear of flipping over, to make that particular craft go as fast as you can make it go. So there is no perfect kayak for any, in general, the entire universe of paddlers. It's such an individual sport, and it depends on your balance skills and your skill level and your comfort with tippy kayaks and your balance. There's just no perfect boat for everybody, and that's why most competitive kayakers end up with like an entire quiver worth of boats, because many times we don't even decide what boat we're going to take until a day or two before the race, when we can see the river levels and predict what the rapid situation is going to be. And sometimes it's a race day morning decision as to what boat am I going to take. If I'm going to hit a lot of rocks and beat the crap out of a boat, I don't want to take a high-end Westside Boat Shop or any other high-end composite boat and beat the heck out of a really, really expensive boat. I'll do something plastic, but then you know it's going to be heavy and it's going to tend to, it will float lower in the water, and then you run the risk of coming into contact with many more rocks. A couple years earlier, I did another race where some people said, oh, they would never take a composite boat on that river, that they would always, paddle plastic as they hit rocks. But in that particular situation, because I had a longer, skinnier boat in carbon Kevlar that floated higher in the water, I did not come in contact with a single rock. So I think you can see where there's a trade-off between something fast and light versus something indestructible. And if you go with indestructible, you're going to hit more rocks because you're floating lower. If you go with composite, lighter and faster, you'll float higher. But if you do hit a rock, it's going to be more catastrophic and damaging to your boat. So there's a whole lot of calculus that goes into these things. So here we're getting, toward the later stages of the race. Everybody on the water with me at this point is well behind me, and I'm well aware of that, but I'm still racing against the ghost that is Tom Ike, who paddled this a few hours earlier. In my mind, I'm still competing against him, and it's tough when you don't see your competitor on the water with you, because you don't know exactly where you stand. There I kind of hit a rock, but I was able to put my hand on it and push off pretty quickly and easily. Another interesting rapid here that wraps around. Made it through here nicely, and this was encouraging. Now I'm in a good pace, having a good run, choosing good lines, and I'm starting to feel good about this race again. More flats, just kicking as much as I possibly can. sped up the video here to just kind of speed up this overall thing, but you get the idea. This was a long, deep flat, and I was just paddling as hard as I possibly could to make up as much time as I possibly could. Speeding up video with a wing stroke is a little deceptive because you tend to see the paddle at its slowest points when the blades are in the water. The speed is at the upper edges of that stroke when the blades are out of the water and you're moving that thing as quickly as you can to get the opposite blade back in the water. But when you fast forward video, it just doesn't look that way. So here's an interesting last set of rapids. I think this is probably, I'm going to say, the most challenging because you really got to choose your way through here, and there's one slot, I think just to the left here coming up, where it's actually a pretty solid rapid. Here I'm stuck again. God, the theme was just being stuck on rocks. It was horrible. But you choose your way through, and it's really rewarding. If and when you choose the right line, it's rewarding, but you know, some days even the best line, you're gonna hit a rock and get stuck. And somewhere here I had both an American bald eagle and a golden eagle flying ahead of me, kind of leading the way. And that's when you kind of start to feel that maybe God blessed you a little bit, and He's letting you enjoy life and enjoy nature and giving you a little bit of hope that possibly you're in contention to win this race. So this is kind of a long flat before the finish line here. We're getting toward the end of this race. Again, I'm just giving it everything I have to go as quickly and as efficiently as I possibly can to try to make up time. So last year at this race, not only did I win it overall by about 2 minutes, but I got awarded something called the Outstanding Paddler Award, which every year the organizers give to who they, in their opinion, is the most exemplary paddler of the day, not just for speed and racing skill, but for attitude and a lot of intangibles. Whoever they deem that day to be sort of the most outstanding paddler on the river. Sometimes it goes to a young child with a parent. Sometimes it goes to a really experienced racer. It's, like I said, it's intangible what they look for. I won it last year, and they tend to not want to give it to the same person 2 years in a row. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that, you know, you can win the race, but there's a separate Outstanding Paddler Award who gets that award based on intangibles, not actually directly related to how you finish in the race or how well you did. Now I know I'm through a set of rapids here that's setting me up for the flat stretch before the finish line. So again, just trying to get through this without dragging or hitting a rock to get to the flats to lead me into the finish line. And here I go, kind of into the final sprint. Just giving it everything I had left in the tank. Starting to feel like maybe I might be competitive. So just to circle back to the Outstanding Paddler Award, if you win that award, they engrave your name on a brass plate and attach it to a big canoe paddle that stays at the county seat of Nelson County, and you're immortalized as the top paddler for that year on that paddle. And then if you show back up the next year, they give you a smaller mini version of that paddle with a plaque engraved with your name saying you were the outstanding paddler from the year before. And that will become relevant in just a few minutes here, as you will see. At this point, I was so done with this race. I was just ready to be done. I was tired. I spent a lot of energy stuck on rocks and getting unstuck, and spent even more energy powering my way through the flats like this, just giving it everything I had. Are you dizzy yet? Here I am approaching the finish line. You'll see an orange cone river left. That is the finish line. Last rapid. Asked my time, or he yelled it out.
That should put me in second.
And I was convinced I was in a solid second place here by, I thought I was a minute and a half, 2 minutes behind Tom Ike, the leader. Paddle back upstream to that last rapid to wait for...
Did that feel like 20 miles
There's
to you?
paddling friend Shelley. She came in right after me. So she was right behind me, which means she smoked everybody else in the pack, which put her in whatever place right behind me overall. But I knew she was the number one woman in this race in terms of speed. She just did an amazing job. Here you see my GPS tracks. 8.4 miles. And then here's some photos from the finish line. They do a little award ceremony. Here's everybody going through Rock Pile Rapid. There's me hitting a rock and feeling a little maybe topsy-turvy, but I made it through okay. Great paddlers, great fun, wonderful race, wonderful volunteers. Paddling friend Shelley won the Outstanding Paddler Award this year, and it was amazing to pass the torch on to her from one year to the next. It's wonderful that you can't make this stuff up, folks. For me to win it last year and her to win it this year, for our names to be engraved on a plaque on that paddle next to each other in consecutive years is absolutely amazing and wonderful. There we are, passing the torch. Last year and this year's outstanding paddlers. And by the way,
an extraordinary
I won this
tale
race
made in the
by
finest
1
American
second.
tradition. Or maybe Just own a piece of American kayaking history. You want a West Side Boat Shop kayak, now available from DaveTheKayaker.com. West Side Boat Shop kayaks. The tradition continues.